Hello and welcome to my channel. This is Wendy, the concierge, and today I'm here to talk to you a little bit about what an average day in prison might be like for you. The idea for this session is so that maybe you can get a little bit of reassurance, because it's scary enough to think that you might be going to prison, and it really shouldn't be any scarier than that, okay? It's bad enough to think that you're going to have to be away from your friends and family without having to think also that you might be hurt or that it might be dangerous. So I just want to give you a little bit of reassurance for the most part that most people are, generally speaking, not going to be in dangerous situations when they go to prison, right? Okay. So here we go. First of all, let's talk about the different types of prisons that are out there. Just as a little bit of a background for myself, for those of you who don't know already, I was arrested in 2017, and after that I was not let out of prison on pretrial. And then I spent time in several different facilities. I spent a year in Douglas County Corrections in Omaha, Nebraska. That's a federal holding facility. Well, it's a county jail, but they contract to also be a federal holding facility, which means they hold federal prisoners who are on detainer, as well as immigration violations as well. Okay, so I was there for a little over a year while I was on pre-trial. Then I was sentenced in 2018. After that, I spent 3 months at a privately contracted facility in Leavenworth, Kansas, a CCA, while I was awaiting designation for which federal prison I was going to be sent to. And after that, I spent just a little over 2 years at Danbury Federal Prison Camp in Danbury, Connecticut. So those are the different facilities that I personally have experience with. But in addition to that, I also know a whole lot of people who have done time in various state facilities. I also have a large network of people who have done time in different county holding facilities and at different levels of different federal prisons as well as state prisons. In addition, I happen to have a lot of relatives who happen to be correctional officers, police officers, probation officers, lawyers, and judges. So I have a lot of resources that I can go to find answers for any question that you have. If I don't know about something personally, I can find the answer to your question and the information that you're seeking, because that's what I do, and that's why people call me the concierge. All right, so here we go. So let's start with the average person who might be watching this now, because if you're watching this now, you're probably not somebody who's being held on pretrial in a facility like I was. You're probably somebody who's going to self-surrender, right? And if you're self-surrendering, you're probably going to be in a low or minimum security facility. For the federal people, that would either be a camp or a low security FCI. Most of the time, you're not going to be higher than that. And that's where the majority of the prisoners are held, especially when it comes to the women. Okay? So, first of all, when you go and self-surrender at the prison, when you first walk in and they put you in this little room and they click with the key and shut the door there, you kind of start to freak out and you worry, because you're afraid that this place that you're at is where you're going to spend the next couple of years, or someplace similar to that. I'm here to tell you now, don't freak out when you see that, okay? Because it's going to have the traditional, steel bench and the bricks, and, the door shuts and it actually locks, and it feels very, serious prison. Okay, don't lose your mind there. Okay, you're not going to stay there for very long. It's just where they're having you come in and do your initial assessment and booking. Okay, at the most, maybe you'll be there a couple days, but usually you're not there for more than a couple hours, right? And obviously I'm speaking in non-COVID situations, because it seems that they're going to kind of maybe start going back to normal now, which I'm not even sure how I feel about it, but that's the thing. So, yeah, in the COVID situations, they're holding people in different types of conditions while they quarantine for a couple of weeks before they put them in general population, and that's its own difficulties and situations in and of itself that we can talk about it at another time. I'm speaking under regular circumstances here, all right? So, they bring you in, you will change out of your regular street clothes, you'll put on a prison type uniform. It's usually something that looks a little bit like scrubs, you know. I can tell you in the federal prison, they're not orange. They're usually whatever color you're going to. If you're going to a regular federal correctional institute, it'll be probably a khaki color. If you're going to a camp, it's going to be a dark green color, more likely than not. They may have you not wear that while they're doing the initial assessments, but that's what you're going to end up with. Okay. So for your initial assessments, you're going to meet with usually the camp counselor or the facility counselor, whichever you're going to be at. You're also going to meet probably with the unit manager, and you'll probably meet with a medical assessment team there as well. And they're going to ask you questions like, you know, do you have any conditions? Are you on any medication? That sort of thing. The counselor might ask you about like where you're from, you know, like if you have like any kids, that sort of thing. They're trying to put your paperwork together so they know who's going to be on your visitors list, who's going to be in your phone records and all that. Okay. So after you meet, get all your initial paperwork done, this usually takes a couple hours. They'll give you a laundry bag with your initial stuff like some socks, some towels, a washcloth, sometimes some uniforms. Sometimes you get the uniforms when you get to the actual prison itself or the section of the prison that you're going to, but sometimes they're in that initial laundry bag. It'll also have a bedroll, blankets, sheets, pillowcases in some instances. Although a lot of the facilities don't have actual pillows anymore, they're usually built into the mattress, which, as you might imagine, kind of sucks, but it's the reality. So then, at least at Danbury, I don't know how it works at the other facilities, they then tell you to leave the prison that you're in, which is the main building, the Federal Correctional Institute, and go up the hill to the camp. And if you're like most people, you're looking at them, especially if you've been in other facilities, and you're like, no, I don't want to get an escape charge or be shot. You're scared to death. I know I was. I couldn't believe that they wanted me to walk up that hill all by myself, unsupervised, between the buildings. I could have walked off and been halfway to Ontario. But no, they're dead ass serious. They want you to just walk right on up the hill and go into the building. So go ahead and do that. Don't be scared. They're not trying to set you up. It is not actually, in fact, a trap. So go ahead and go up the hill and get there. Usually when you get up to the top of the hill, there will be a bunch of people there waiting for you saying hello. They've been there. They know that it sucks to get there. They know that you're worried. They know you're a little bit nervous and scared, and they're going to help you out. So don't worry. They're not trying to attack you or beat you up or like gang rape you or any nonsense like that. They're just a bunch of regular women just like you, okay? Or men, if you happen to be a dude. If you're a dude, somebody's going to come along and tell you and help you out and be like, listen, this is where you sit, this is who you talk to, this is who you don't talk to. It's really pretty easy. So when you first get up there, people will greet you. They'll tell you where the officer is. They'll probably yell for the officer, hey, the newbies are here, you know. And then they'll find you and they'll take you to where your room is going to be. Now, if you're in a camp, most of the camps are set up dormitory style, which means you don't actually have your own private room. This is going to be something more like, imagine an office cubicle farm, okay? And in each of those cubes, imagine that there's a set of bunk beds and 2 lockers that are about 3 feet tall and about 2 feet wide, maybe about a foot, 18 inches, let's say, deep. Okay, that's about the size of the locker. And then you'll have also a plastic bin that's about like 2 feet by like 3 feet and probably about this deep. Most people put their food and stuff in the plastic bin, and their clothes and hygiene and stuff, you know, like their personal items like books, papers, pens, envelopes, whatever, in the locker. But you do you. You can do it whichever way you want, whatever, right? Right. At this point, you want to make your bed. Somebody will probably come along and be helpful and show you how to do this. A welcome committee might come and offer you items, you know, because You just got there, so you haven't shopped on commissary. You don't have shampoo. You don't have like shower shoes. You don't have soap. You don't have a toothbrush and toothpaste, even, except for like the little cheap ones that they give you in the hygiene kits. They're like the size of your thumb or something. Useless, right? Right. Now, at this point, you may be worried, like, oh, I heard that I'm not supposed to take this because if I take this, this means that I'm offering sexual favors to them or something. Okay, that might be a thing in some places. I'm telling you right now, that is not a thing in any federal prison camp, all right? Like, no, these ladies are offering you things because they're trying to be friendly because they know that it sucks to come to prison. They've been there just exactly like you have, all right? They're offering you a soda. They're offering you some coffee. They're not saying that they're going to grab you and take you in the shower that night and molest you, okay? That's not going to happen, all right? Like, I'm not saying that there's no sexual activity going on in prison, but that's not how it happens. Those ladies are just trying to be friendly, okay? All right. So go ahead and accept those things. But what you do when you get settled and when you get your money on your books, when you're able to shop your commissary, what you do is you get things, and when the next newbie comes in, you give something to them. Okay? That's the way of paying it forward. This is how we learn how to be nice citizens and civilized human beings again, right? Right. Okay. So you get that. You set up your bed. Somebody's probably going to take you around, show you that this is the email room. This is where you watch TV. This is where you can play cards. This is where you eat. Usually they'll get a meal for you, if you come late in the day, especially if you're coming on a transfer plane. Like, sometimes you've ended up missing all the meals for the day, so usually somebody will rustle up something for you to eat. And, they'll show you that these are the phones, they'll talk to you, get to know you, find out, do you like to knit, do you like to crochet, you like to color, you want to read a book, something to relax. People get it. They know. They're friendly. So there's that. They'll also maybe offer you like some clothing, like some shorts and t-shirts, like just so you can feel comfortable, going to bed that night. The towels that they give you are just like, they're practically like tea towels, all right? They're like, I don't know, like this long, this wide, like this, like, they don't cover nothing, right? So a lot of times the ladies will offer you, like a towel that's been gently used and washed, and then you can go and take a proper shower and like feel better and just get comfortable. I mean, as comfortable as you can, you know what I mean? So that's probably what your first night is going to be like there. If you're lucky, you're going to be able to go outside and take in a little bit of the scenery where you're going to be for the next little minute. If you're very lucky, you're someplace beautiful. That was one thing that was really nice about Danbury. When you go in the backyard at the camp there's this amazing view out into the valley, and you can just see for like miles and miles and miles away. And it just feels like you're in the countryside on top of a mountain, because you are. And it's so nice to just be able to look and hear the birds, the frogs, and the cicadas at night in the summer, and just watch all the nature, the niceness, see the deer come up and the rabbits and all that. It's nice. And it's a way to just let go of yourself and allow yourself to be in a different place for a minute. Take advantage of that. It's a good thing. Right? Right. Okay. So now that you've had your first day there, you're going to wake up in the morning. And in the prisons, they usually insist that you turn on the lights at 7 o'clock in the morning at the latest. Some of them will turn them on at like 6. And those lights are going to stay on until the last count at night, like 9, 10 o'clock, depending on where you are. All right? You don't necessarily have to get out of your bed immediately when the light comes on, but you might want to. This time is a good time to go find some breakfast. Breakfast is usually served from like 6:15 to about 7:30. And after that, you won't be able to eat again until lunch, which is usually something like 10:45, 11 o'clock, for about an hour there. Okay? All right. So from 7:30 in the morning until at least 3, at some facilities 3:30. You will need to be in your uniform each day. Some facilities are stricter than others with this. Some facilities allow you to wear your tennis shoes with your uniforms. Most of them will require that you are suited and booted, meaning that you've got your full uniform on, your t-shirt under your shirt. It's buttoned up, it's tucked in. You're wearing your boots. They are laced and they are tied. Okay? At this point, because you just got there, you're probably going to go to what's called A&O, or Admissions and Orientation. This is where they're going to teach you things like how to add people to your contact list, how to use the phones, how to get people on your visitors list, the rules and regulations for checking out books, how to write a request form, how to write a medical request form, that sort of thing. The various programs that are available. Many of the staff members will come in, your unit manager, the food service people, people from like the CMS, construction maintenance services will come in, people from grounds, people from commissary, and they'll basically explain how this little society works that you are now going to be living in for the next little while. Okay, so one of the biggest purposes for A&O is that this is when and where you're going to get your job. Okay, because when you're in prison, you have to have some sort of a job. They don't care if you're in a wheelchair. They don't care if you're 78 years old. You're going to have a job. The only way that you get out of this is if you're doing GED classes, and even that, they usually will schedule it so that you have GED in the morning and a job in the afternoon. Also, a job is the only way that you can technically earn money in prison. So if you don't want to be a burden to your family and having your family put on all kinds of money all the time, which most of us don't want to, right? Then you're going to need to get some sort of a job. Your job might be something like being a cook in the kitchen, wiping tables, cleaning and sanitation for the kitchen, cleaning and sanitation for the general building, the bathrooms, hauling trash, doing recycling for all those soda cans that we drink, cleaning various recreational areas, cleaning the libraries and educational areas. You could also get taken on to work with the grounds and landscaping crews, with the construction and maintenance crews, the electrical crew, the plumbing crew, or you might be able to work in the garage where they do service work on the vehicles that are used by the facility. All of these opportunities have different pros and cons, and you can also do clerical work as well if you work in the library, if you work as a tutor for the education department, if you work in the legal library, and you can also work doing warehouse work if you're somebody who really likes to be physical and active and burn off a bunch of calories every day. There's the commissary warehouse that you can work at, and there's also the food service warehouse. And these are activities that are going to keep you busy and in shape every single day. Okay. If you've got some physical disabilities issues, maybe you're older. Okay. Maybe you've got heart problems. Maybe you've got some physical issues, torn shoulders, ligaments, joints, whatever. Maybe you've got arthritis. I don't know. They'll work with you. They have a lot of jobs that you can do, even just something as simple as taking around a bottle of window spray and, of course, a towel or a rag and cleaning all the windows. Your job might be something that simple, but they will absolutely find something for you to do. And here's a pro tip. If you do not want to be involved with the landscaping crew, you better find yourself something to do in advance of A&O, because more likely than not, if you do not already find a job for yourself, you will get randomly assigned there, because landscaping crew, grounds is what they call it, and the kitchen are the two places that are the hardest for them to find people to work at, because let's face it, those are very physically demanding and taxing jobs, and they're messy, and they're dirty, and they're gross, and they're hot, and disgusting. So it's difficult to get people to want to do them. So try to line yourself up some sort of job beforehand if you can. All right. So there's that. Now, one of the other things that I want to tell you about the jobs. So, let's say that, like, you're a lawyer. This is specifically for you lawyers watching this now. All right? I know this sucks. It's bad enough that you have to go to prison. But you might be thinking, like, oh, I can work in the legal library. Yeah, no. No, they won't let you. And then on top of it, some of the staff members can really be jerks to the people who are there with white collar histories. Um, and the lawyers in particular, they like to dress down and they'll grab you aside sometimes and they'll tell you, like, don't be giving nobody legal advice here, don't be helping nobody, don't be jailhouse lawyering nobody. And they'll basically scare the ever living crap out of you and make you worry that, you're going to get in a lot of trouble for this. So just watch yourself, keep yourself very low. Because, I know it's built into you, and of course you want to help people. Like, and it's going to happen. I get it. Don't worry about it. So do that. And if you can, try to see if you can get into the adult continuing education classes, and maybe you can teach something that was in your specialty. For example, we had somebody who taught wills and trusts because she was a lawyer who used to do wills and trusts, right? We had another lawyer who taught like a class about real estate because she used to do property law. We had another lawyer who did a class about not-for-profit law and stuff because that was what her specialty was once upon a time when she was a civilian. So you can use your education that way and help people still. And you get credit for teaching those classes. It looks really good on your prison record, and it helps people as well. So that's something you can do. Also, if you're somebody who has a teaching background, such as maybe you're an English teacher, or maybe you have writing credentials or something like that, you can also check to see if you can get involved with tutoring and teaching classes within the education department. This is very useful. Also, even if you're just really crafty, like maybe you're somebody who knows how to knit and crochet like nobody's business, or maybe you're somebody who knows how to do beading and jewelry making, that would be fantastic. People love to learn art classes and art pastimes when they're in prison because it's something to do, and it's a creative outlet that allows them to feel that they're making something beautiful, and it allows them to escape a little bit from where they are. They're very appreciated, these kind of skills. So definitely look into that. All right. So now you've gotten there, you've got your job, you've gotten set up a little bit. Maybe you're looking at some classes and stuff. You're from the beginning of your day until the end of the day, you're going to be scheduled. All right? From 7:30 in the morning, which is when you've got to be up and have your uniform on, you have to have been done with breakfast already and ready to go. You're either going to be taking classes, doing your job, or finding something constructive to do. You might be able to watch TV during the day. You might want to, meet with people and like work on homework from your classes. You might want to do your job, like I said, but you have to be up doing something and being productive. Most of the places won't let you sleep in your bed all day during the day, even if you don't have anything to do. Me, personally, I don't understand why they're so sticklers about not letting people sleep during the day when they don't mind if they're watching something like MTV's Ridiculousness on the freaking TV all day. But guess what? I don't get to make the rules, and neither do you, which is the whole point of prison, by the way, learning that you don't get to make the rules. So you're going to have to follow that, find things to do. That's another reason that a lot of people get involved in craft work, such as crochet, knitting, and artwork, like drawing, painting, writing, etc. Okay. So you'll need to do that. You'll need to have your room clean every day. Okay? Like if the counselor, the unit manager, the officer walks by and your bed's not made, you've got clothes all over, whatever, they can give you a shot, or a ticket as some people call it. What it is an incident report is the technical name. It's usually something like a 300 level shot, just for not keeping your stuff orderly. So you're going to want to make sure your room is always clean at all times. As of like 3:30, you'll be recalled back to your room in some places, not all, but some, because at 4 o'clock you must be standing by your bed. That's standing. That is not laying down in your bed. That is not sitting on a chair. That is standing, okay? Your bunkmates and fellow dorm mates will show you where to stand. At attention. I mean, you don't have to be like, but you got to be standing enough, like not just like slouching off and, looking like some bored, like slacker from high school. Like, no, it's not going to work. You will be counted. And then the rest of the night is recreation until about 9 p.m. when they have the last count. Now, here, in some facilities, that last count's at 10 p.m. At Danbury, it was at 9. I know a couple other facilities have it at 9 too. It is at 10 in Danbury in the summer when there's Ramadan. Okay? But yeah. Then after that, around 9:30, 10 o'clock, people will turn the lights off. And it's considered good manners to be respectful and quiet, especially because a lot of these people have to get up at 4, 5, 6 in the morning and go to their jobs at the warehouse, construction, electrical, garage, etc. So just be respectful. Okay. Now, these are the ways that you're going to be filling your day for some time. You're going to want to take some personal time in there somewhere, all right? Right after the 4 o'clock count, usually, at 4:30, usually they serve supper, okay? So you'll want to go and you'll get your supper, and then after that, your time is yours. I recommend that you find some time to do, like, a personal fulfillment class. Maybe you want to take, like, a Spanish class. They offered Spanish classes where I was all the time. Maybe you want to take a creative writing course, okay? Maybe you would like to take a course in African American history, something like that, okay? They have all kinds of, courses. They're usually taught by other inmates who have some sort of background. The curriculum is approved by the Bureau of Prisons, and because they have to submit it for approval and say, this is what we're teaching, this is what it's about, blah, 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 gets approved, and that's how you get your credit for it. Maybe you want to get into exercise. Maybe you're saying, you know what, this is great. I can't smoke, I can't drink, can't do drugs. Might as well get myself in shape, eat properly, cut out the sugar, cut out the sodas, let's go, right? It's difficult to eat well in prison. I'm going to tell you that right now. It's really difficult to eat well in prison. The stuff that they offer for the national menu, which is what they serve, because no matter what prison you're in, you're going to have the same things on certain days. You're going to have chicken patties on Tuesdays. You're going to have a hamburger on Wednesdays. Okay? That's just how it is. And it's things like that, chicken patties, hamburgers. I mean, some of them are good, and it varies from institution to institution as to how good they are, and, a lot of them will personalize it, but the fact is, these aren't really, like, health foods, They're not going to have, like, a salad bar with fresh vegetables and fruit options. It's not going to happen. And on commissary, these are prepackaged foods. They aren't, again, fresh fruits and vegetables. For reasons I don't understand, the Bureau of Prisons doesn't have a gardening food program. I don't even understand what the hell that's about. They've got, like, this beautiful, pristine land in so many of their facilities. They could be working farms altogether, but for some reason, they don't do it. I think it has something to do with the regulations about what you can feed federal inmates and stuff like that. And so, they have to, they would have to, inspect all the food that was harvested or whatever. It's just a pain. So I get it, how it doesn't happen, but it's really sad that regulation prevents that. But what you can do is practice portion control, of course. And also, they'll often give, through the recreation department, they'll often give nutrition classes so that you can learn which of the foods there have what kind of calories, which are better for you than others, because sometimes it's rather surprising. But one other thing that you can do is exercise. all of the facilities have a gym to one degree or another. Most of them don't have weights anymore because, thanks to the Zimmerman, one of the two, act in 1996, you can't have weights in prisons anymore because it's considered a way to just make bigger, stronger criminals. Yeah, whatever. So there's no free weights in most prisons. There are a few remnants that remain, but most of them, they're gone. All right. So, but what there usually is some sort of exercise machines, whether those be elliptical trainers, rowing machines, treadmills. Uh, there's probably a few others as well. Okay. You'll be able to develop an exercise program. A lot of times they'll teach exercise classes such as step aerobics, high intensity aerobics, or almost every prison has yoga and Pilates. Okay, get involved in these classes. Work on your body. Make yourself feel good. Heal your mental state, your physical state, and your spiritual state. Okay. Many of them also have outdoor facilities. A track, for example. I know at Danbury they had a 1/4 mile track that a lot of people would just go walking on every night because a large section of it was right next to the woods, and so it just felt for a minute like you weren't in a prison. And that was very healing and nice, right? Right. Okay. So, great exercise. Now, here's another way that you can do your time there. Every single prison has a religious services department, right? In fact, you can even work there as a religious services orderly, which would be keeping the chapel clean and neat and organized, making sure that there's, flyers, organizing the space because, maybe the Hindus want to use it this time, the Buddhists want to use it this time, the Native Americans want to use it this time, the Jews want to use it this time, that sort of thing. There's a lot of coordination that goes on. There's also a lot of interfaith events that go on, for various feasting activities and things like that. All right? A lot of people, when they go to prison, decide that this is a good time to get serious about their religion. Sometimes their motives are a little suspect, frankly. You kind of feel like they're just putting on a show so that they look good for the parole board. Federal prison doesn't have parole board, but you know what I mean. You know the type, right? Right. That said, I don't want to cast aspersions on anybody's motives. That's between them and God. That's not my business. That's rude for me to even think of, right? Right. So I'm going to assume for the most part that anybody's religious experience is sincere. And furthermore, it's really not my business if it's not sincere. Even if it's not sincere, it's a wholesome, productive thing to do with your time while you're in prison. So you'll be able to take things like religious classes. You'll be able to watch religious movies and TV shows a lot of times in the chapel. And you'll also be able to attend religious services. You don't necessarily have to come in with a baptismal certificate or anything like that to prove that you're any sort of certain religion. They'll ask you about it when you first come in. But let's say that you start investigating these religions and you discover that you really feel that the Quran has got it together and that your heart lies in the Islamic faith and you want to become a Muslim. Okay, well, you just have to write to religious services and ask to be classified as a Muslim. Okay, or whatever religion you want to practice. Okay, and one thing you need to know is that in most facilities, in order to participate in things like, say, the Ramadan food services that are at different times, or Eid at the end of Ramadan where they have the big feast, or the Passover service for the Jews, for the Seder, or even for there was a Feast of St. Anthony, something like that. I don't remember that the Catholics got into. In order to participate in these activities, you need to be registered as being a member of that, okay? Because I know there was some Native Americans who were asking for traditional tobacco and they wanted to, have a smoke service. Well, the thing was, they could do that. That's legit. That's allowed. but you have to have it written down through religious services. You send them what's called a cop out, and you say, please mark my religion as Native American, or Catholic, Protestant, whatever. So there you go. All right. So this is how a lot of your life is going to be spent. What you need to watch for is that you need to be in your cubicle where you're supposed to be by your bed at the count times. That's what's most important. There's going to be a count around 5 a.m. There's going to be another one at 4 p.m. There's going to be another one at 9 p.m. There's going to be another one at midnight. And there's another one around 2 a.m. You need to be there those times. Not in the bathroom. Not watching TV. Not out on the track. Not, God forbid, finding your boyfriend down by the road and meeting up for some cigarettes. No, this is not how it works. Okay? Alright. So, that's what it's going to be. The times where you can talk on the phone or send emails are restricted to between, it varies, okay? But it's usually between 5:30 and 11 p.m. It's always at 11 p.m. 11 p.m. is always when it ends. But sometimes they turn it on as early as 5:30 in the morning, and sometimes they don't turn on until 6:30. So, something like that in there until 11 p.m. But the phones will not be on until, like if count is at 9 o'clock, they won't turn back on until 9:30. If it's at 4, it's not going to be back on until 4:30, etc. In the evenings, of course, you're going to want to spend time in line to get on the phones or on emails. And if you're lucky enough to be at a place that has video visiting enabled, you can also sign up in advance to have a video visit with your family and loved one for up to 3 times a week. Okay? So there you go. This is what a basic day in prison is going to be like. Generally speaking, officers and staff are not going to be yelling at you unless you give them a reason to. If you're quiet and keep to yourself, it's not going to be a problem. You're not going to get into fights unless you are running your mouth or getting involved in relationships or stealing stuff from people or doing bad business, like not paying your debts and stuff. Nobody's going to beat you up, like in a federal prison camp, at least, for being of any particular ethnicity, unless you're doing something stupid in addition to it. That's not happening. Nobody wants to get in trouble with that. Everybody's focused on behaving themselves so that they can get out as early as possible. Right? Right. Okay. So, one thing, though, that I do want to warn you about that is important to know that a lot of people don't necessarily realize. A lot of times we're trained out here that part of polite conversation is that, like, if I say, like, I'm going to go and get some shoes today, I think. You might say, really? Why? What kind of shoes? What color of shoes? Why do you need new shoes? You're asking me about it because, you're trying to be polite and make conversation. Okay, in prison, that's not considered polite. Not only is it not considered polite, it's considered rude. There is a famous saying called, don't ask questions in prison. And I'm telling you, don't. I don't care how curious you are. I don't care if you see, like, an entire elephant walk down your dorm hallway. You just keep reading your book. Don't even notice. It's not your business. Say nothing, okay? Do not ask questions in prison. It's considered extremely rude. You see some woman having a whole freaking meltdown, sobbing her bloody eyes out. Do not even say, what's wrong? Don't stare at her. Don't come over and ask if you can do anything. That's called ear hustling. Nope. And this comes from the fact that there's no privacy in prison. Like, if my super good friend and I are having a conversation and I'm telling her about how, like, my husband and I are having some problems. We're thinking about getting a divorce. My daughter's running around getting drunk and, like, she's pregnant, and you interject something, even though we're having a conversation like 10 feet from you, okay? And it's completely reasonable that, you would hear us, right? And that you're just trying to be nice and sympathetic or friendly or whatever, right? Okay, I'm not the kind of person that gets all bent out of shape like that, because I'm just not like that. A lot of people in prison are, and they will hold it against you. They will consider it rude or whatever. If you see an altercation going on, like two people getting into a fight, a couple people yelling at each other, a couple of people having an animated discussion about something, don't look, don't stare, don't watch, pretend like you have no idea this is going on. You're wearing earplugs, okay? You don't hear it, because that's a real good way for people to start getting really shitty toward you and treating you poorly. So just avoid that at all costs. Stick to yourself. Don't be asking questions. Don't be listening to people. Don't be looking at people. Just read a book. Stay out of people's way. It'll help you, and it'll make your time in the prison a lot easier. All right. So, another thing to be wary of. It may seem very logical to you when you're going to bed at night and you hear all these people like yelling and chattering and playing cards and, yelling across the room, like, hey, Shayla, can you bring me a package of rice? To say, like, excuse me, can you shut up? I'm trying to sleep. That might seem extremely logical and reasonable to you. Unfortunately, what you're about to get in return is, shut up, bitch, this ain't your house. You don't like it, don't fucking come to prison. People get really snitty and shitty about that. Now, on the other hand, there are also people who are very assertive, let's say, who will be like, shut the fuck up and get out of here. I have to go to work in the morning and I am not fucking with you bitches tonight. Get out. You don't need to take that role, okay? If somebody's acting like that, I'm telling you, it's probably because they've been in prison for a minute, or they've been at this prison for a minute, and they're an enforcer. Let them do their thing. Do not assume that because you just got there that you have the right to say, can you guys be quiet? I need to sleep. Yeah, no, it's not going to happen. In most of the prisons, there will be cotton balls on commissary. I suggest you get some and use them as earplugs if they don't sell actual earplugs on commissary. Most of them also sell headphones. Go ahead, get those too if you need to just zone out. Learn how to meditate. It will help you tremendously. Okay? Now, there are some officers who will come through and they will put a stop to that shit. They will shut that shit right down. They'll be like, hey, if you're having a conversation, you need to go to the rec room. Hey, if you're having a conversation, you need to go to the TV room. You're not having it down here in the dorm. People are fucking sleeping. Get out of here now. And, like, some people get really shitty with those officers about it, but some of them will do it. Other officers, they don't care if there's an all-out, like, casino going on down there at 11 o'clock at night when people gotta work in the morning. And you'll figure out which officers are which as you go through your prison experience. All right? So, there's that. And, try to relax a little bit. For the most part, you're with a bunch of people who are just like you, who made an awful mistake, who didn't notice what was going on, who got framed, people who were missing their families, people who were going through stuff, people who were worried about how they're going to start their life over, people who are worried about their relatives going through family milestones and, typical family situations and difficulties, mom dying, a grandchild being born, all these mementos and milestones. Everybody's got people there who miss them too, okay? So, you're not alone. Don't worry. Just relax. And honestly, most prisons are pretty much similar to that, no matter the security level, whether it's state, whether it's federal, whatever. You're going to find people that you recognize as being similar to you and in similar life experiences and in a similar situation. go ahead and enjoy those friendships, because that's what's going to get you through that time when you're in there. There's no doubt about that in any way. All right. So, again, if you have any questions about what your time in prison might be like, go ahead and hit your girl up down below, Wendy the Concierge at gmail.com. Okay. And I've got that down in the links below. And also, you can check out my blog. Please subscribe to my channel as well. And if you like what I do and you want to give me a little love for it, go ahead and hit up my coffee page. But again, I never withhold information based on monetary compensation, because that's just not cool to me. We're all in this together. It's all a situation. It's all difficult. And the only way that we're going to get through it is if we hold hands. Right? Right. So let's be good to one another out there. Thank you for coming, and have a great night.